All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I want to call this podcast is Have the Courage to Be Fair. And I think in this day and age, a lot of us, it's hard to sometimes listen to somebody else's perspective that you may disagree with almost all the time. That could go for political, that could go for even the media, it could go for social media, it can even go for friends or family members. And, I think in life, one of the hardest things sometimes to be is fair. Even when it comes to cutting a deal, a lot of times we want leverage, which is understandable. I mean, really, isn't that the art of the deal to a certain degree? Getting more, maybe, or getting a value that works better for you is what I should say. That doesn't mean you're stiffing someone else on the other end, but you want to make sure that the deal works best for you, and obviously they want to make sure the deal works best for them. But what I'm kind of talking about here is the fairness to be kind of open-minded and understand other people's opinions and views and where they're coming from. I think in the last few years, especially when it came to politics, and believe me, I'm not here to talk about politics, I just think we have started kind of wars amongst our friends and family members, even colleagues, when it comes to certain issues. And I get it. We're all going to have our opinions. I 100% I get that. But what I do think we really need to do, and here's the other thing, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit each other and say, oh, we're all going to come together now because this person's doing this. We're all going to come together because our country's in this situation now. That's bullshit. I'm going to tell you right, to me, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard. We've never all came together necessarily. Sure, 9/11, war, for our soldiers and for certain things, of course we all came together. I shouldn't say we never did. But when it came to a lot of other things, there's always been so many different opinions and so many different sides. To think you're going to take 70 million people and we're all going to believe in the same way on how to live our lifestyle is absolutely insane. So, but I do think, again, having the courage to at least having the respect is what I should say, to listening to other people's opinions. Because a lot of times I do this as well, I catch myself. Because I guess I am strong-willed and I sometimes shut people off. But then when I do stop myself and just say, you know what, be fair here a little bit. Just think about what they're saying. I may not agree with it all the time, but sometimes I do see their point. And a lot of times, too, I see this with arguing a lot of times when I'm arguing with whoever I'm arguing with. And I don't mean I'm sitting here screaming or arguing. It could just be a dispute or just a discussion. And this can happen with my friends, family members, or colleagues, or whoever. Sometimes they're right. Like the future, something comes up, I'm like, wow, I really did blow that. I didn't see that would happen. Or I thought it would go this way, and it went that way, right? Just in having the fairness to yourself to say, listen, I don't always make the right decisions. Or everything I believe in, it may be right for me, but not right for everyone else. I think that's where the fairness comes in, because we usually want what's fair to the lifestyle that we lead and our core beliefs. But just because somebody else has different beliefs does not make them, a horrible person or stupid or not knowing. Certain things, sure, I will be the one to say, I despise the way they think about this, or I despise the way they do this or that. Yeah, I do have that. I think almost all of us do, but most of us bullshit. I really do. But again, here's the thing too, is I think back to being fair. A lot of things I caught myself being aggravated over that I have no control over. That, just let a lot of that shit go. You barely have enough control on your own life, I can assure you, to kind of get caught up with what everybody else is doing, saying, will exhaust you. Again, be fair to yourself to have the knowledge that you cannot control others. I remember one thing, like when it comes to fairness, for some weird reason, I used to hate lying when I was younger. But believe me, I'll lie to your face. I don't give a shit if I feel like it. I just was kind of known for someone who doesn't like to lie. I used to say, you got to give a shit to lie. It's kind of a joke, but that was even when I was a young boy. I would say that I don't give a shit enough to lie about it, because usually I would just if I would say nothing, or I would just tell the truth. It's kind of a brutal honesty type thing, which gets me in trouble a lot of times, believe me. But I just wasn't down with lying. I didn't care. And, you play a lot of sports, but I was at a family picnic, and this is when I was very young. I'm talking 10, 11, whatever. We're playing baseball, and somebody threw the ball at first base, and I was standing there, and I think more of the adults were playing than even me. I might have been playing, but I was like, and then it was close at first, and tie goes to the runner or whatever. But he was clearly kind of out, in my opinion. And then they were arguing. They're like, he was safe. He was out. The adults were yelling at each other. And one of my uncles looks at me and says, "Hey, you, what was it?" And I was actually on the team that was up to bat. So you would have thought I said he's safe, and I said, no, he was out. And my uncle screamed, the one that was running the first base. I had two uncles, actually, I think. He screamed, "What are you talking about? You know I was safe. Why would you even go against me? Like, this is our team." And I was like, oh, my God. And then, and I thought to myself, like, being fair again, I just want to be fair. I didn't want to lie. It wasn't worth the lie to me either. That doesn't mean I never lie again. But my point, I remember at a young age going, you know what? I see his point, though. Like, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe he was, a tie. Maybe whatever. But I went with my true belief. But I wanted to be fair. I wanted to be fair to my team and the other team, which a lot of times I think we're not fair anymore. I think we kind of find ourselves on one team or another, and we're not fair towards the other team. So I just kind of wanted to do a quick podcast on this because, just having the courage to truly understand other people, that their opinions should be valued, not undervalued, and that, again, that they are human beings. They deserve to be listened to. And a lot of times I know we don't want to listen to anybody, especially after a certain amount of time. But you being a person who I think has the courage that says what is fair and what isn't, because I think a lot of times, and I've seen this even being an owner of a company with my father, being in a position, I always wanted to be fair. My father's, we would have disputes that I was almost overly fair, or maybe let people get away with too much when it came to employees. And maybe even at times paying too much, let's say, or giving them too much time off, or being a lot more lenient. But, I was in a position too where, when I was younger, you work for somebody else and they don't realize how much time and effort you are putting in. They kind of only look at their bottom line in the business. How much money are they making? And they also don't look at a lot of the luxuries if you're an employee that you don't have compared to being an owner. My friend once said that to me, and it hit me right between the eyes. I'm like, why don't you do this, 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 and whatever. He goes, well, we don't have the luxury like you do, Rich, to just go, you're having the luxury of working with your father, which was one thing, right? So I'm like, who's going to mess with me, I guess. Having access to money, having access to credit cards, having access to write things off, having access to maybe take time off whenever I needed. But if you're just an employee, let's call it for what it is. A lot of times you are at the beck and call of your boss or the owner. And I get it. And I didn't want that relationship. That's why I'm really not a good businessman. I love helping people, but I really look at how I want to be fair to them, especially to our employees that we're working for us. Or if I work with somebody, a lot of times I goof around, but I want them to have the leniency to understand that I want them to understand that I want to be fair on both sides, like I was just saying. And I will stand up for that. If you're creating a project with me, I don't expect you to put in so much more time than me. I'm usually going to do a lot more than they are. I'm also not going to, I expect them, if they're going to do things, to get something out of it. I don't want to take advantage of them in any way, shape, or form. If I promise to pay them, I'm going to pay them. If I promise to work out a certain deal, I'm going to always be fair and do my best to stick to that. Because that's the type of person I guess I am. But I just thought I would do a podcast on this. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. You get a chance, check out my website, richcelenza.com. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up. I do these crazy podcasts sometimes. It's just my perspective. You could probably disagree with a lot of what I say or agree with it. But either way, like I was saying, I just want people to have the courage, not only to be fair, but, just take an honest approach on life and not always take things so seriously. So, all right, take care.